First, there was horror talk. Then there was childhood thoughts and Tim rants. Now, Tim, I didn't steal this from Brad Jones. I just want to do this just for the hell of it because I have nothing else to do. Nyworth Jr. proudly presents Let's Binge. Well, after the big fight, Dan and Rosie actually separate, and while Dan is doing household work, Roseanne is just sitting down watching reruns of old shows, and then she sees herself in Lucy, Mary Tyler Moore type, and this kind of did the thing with Dan is I believe because he was busy doing a lot of film stuff, and so they always wanted to put, because he's the leading guy, John Goodman in as much as they could. I think that's why they kind of did this, at least in my opinion. It's still a funny episode, and I like it. And of course, after the end credits of the first episode of season 9, we get the lottery storyline, and the Connors being rich and being very greedy type characters after this, and going to these fine dinners. It's still a funny one. It's the whole with them winning the lottery is funny. The Jackie being Jackie, still a good time. It's not as good as the first episode though, but again, we still have 21 more episodes to go, so there. Now this is a daydreaming episode or dream episode, whatever, of Rosie dreaming of going to, because of winning the lottery. There's just these dream sequences, very creepy dream sequences, and a lot of jokes that hasn't aged. Yeah. Now we're off to the 4th episode of season 9, which is kind of Dan. It's a Dan episode. It's Dan is pretty blue, and he it's because of with mom issues and all of that, and we will not see more until the very end of the season, but we got one big surprise, a little cameo of someone who is a big inspiration, and that's pretty cool. Love this episode because Jim Varney is in it. It's cool that he's a prince. It's something outside of the Ernest character, kind of like what I do outside of my Howie stuff. And of course, because he was a Shakespearean actor with that pretty cool accent. Of course, playing a prince. Always loved the Fred character. I think Fred and Jackie had to be my favorite couple from the series, but come on, it's Jim Varney. Kind of like the ending of She-Devil predicted this episode. Are you sure this is Roseanne? They made Roseanne look so different. Again, I talked about this on the ranking of the Halloween specials. It doesn't seem like a Halloween special to me, but it still gets, it still has some weird stuff. Always tried to get to this one, but, it wasn't just didn't seem like an episode. Well, she kind of predicts this in the last episode. Throwing a tampon at a terrorist. Pretty hilarious. So Jim Varney and Shelley Winters, Leon, all these, they all return. And it's funny to see them back at Lanford and having the friggin' this TV so good that a football comes out. Like, that's really funny. And again, like with Jim Varney, kind of showing some earnest there. Not really a bad episode, but not the best of the Thanksgiving specials. Just, don't worry, I'll get with that very soon. This is actually an episode I liked better than Dan and Roseanne's story. I actually liked Bev and Mary, Bev and Mary's story. It's a very nice Mother's Day-esque episode, and I always loved the chemistry between both Oscar-winning actresses. I'm so used to shows, Halloween and Thanksgiving specials, that I always avoid the Christmas ones. I don't know why. I believe that there are Christmas specials that I remember, but this one is just there. Of course, at the end of the episode of the last, well, in my book, the last episode of the fucking series, this is where we actually find out Dan has been hooked up with another woman, who's this nurse in California, and this kind of leads up to, in my opinion, one of my favorite episodes of the series. We'll get to that. Now we have first Dan going to California and seeing Roseanne, like with Roseanne processing with everything, and I think this is more or less DJ's episode, in my opinion. I like how everything is connected. That's just all, I gotta say that. And what pisses me off the most is the chemistry between him and Randy's sister from Scream 3 or Lily from Princess Diaries. I love the chemistry. I loved how they're into the same stuff. But no, all of that was changed in the stupid ass season 10 and the dumbass Connors, where it's the dumb bitch from the play, which is a really great episode. Just one of the best. It gives you life lessons, but I wasn't needed to see that. I wasn't needed to see him and her together. I always loved her character, and that was just my opinion. My favorite episode of the season, it is, because, again, it's foreshadowing for what we will be learning in the series finale, and it's one of the best. It's one of the best of the shows because it has a lot of key things with Dan's affair and locking herself in the room. The only person that's allowed to be in is Jerry, which is funny. And you just have Leon and Jackie and everybody. David being scared out of his mind. That's very funny. It's cool to see a reference to the old plastic company, which ended up dying out after the sisters left the company. And it's kind of cool to do that, because I like in later seasons of shows where they reference something you would never see in a long time, with Minkus from Boy Meets World, or even going older with the late Henry Blake from MASH. So the man she was talking about in her ending story was James Brolin. And wow, Josh looks a lot like his father. Wow, I thought it was Josh at first, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's James. It's James. Does anybody forget these episodes actually exist? We got 2 episodes here that are really good. back to back. Episodes 18 and 19 are just wonderful. We get Rosie and Dan rekindling. We also get Darlene rushing to the hospital for what we will expect being their daughter. A lot of people have this on their best of episodes, and do you know this was on the 9th season? Yes, there are a lot of hits than misses in this season, and this is a perfect example. You had 2 really good back-to-back episodes, and of course, the next episode is just a WTF episode, but with the miracle, just the title says a lot, and it is on the top 5 of favorites of season 9. Love them. Love this episode so much. Just the Blackbird song by the Beatles. Just one of the wonderful. I'm probably going to do a top 5 baby video, so that's there. I always get mixed up, people. ROSEANNE-FELD. It sounds ROSEANNE-FELD. The next episode the episode I was talking about was the next one. It's just ROSEANNE-FELD. I don't know why. It just sounds weird. But this was the episode where DJ wants to have sex and the wrestling thing. I remember watching this all the time. Just randomly on random order. I don't know why, folks. I just don't know. This was the episode I was talking about. Yes, it's a very WTF-ish episode where it's like these these TV people come and they're just doing the same jokes over and over again. I like stuff. It's just it reminds me a lot of a Married with Children episode where Kelly tells her whole family story or something, and kind of like that. A year before she becomes Kimberly J. Brown's grandmother in Halloween Town, she tries to kill her son in this. Yeah, this is actually a pretty fun episode because it's written by Carrie Fisher, which, of course, Debbie Reynolds, both of these R.I.P., daughter, and well, of course, look at the Star Wars references in here. And Debbie actually does a really cool, pretty fun performance. I miss Debbie Reynolds. I miss both of them. And I like this. Easily one of my favorite finales of all time. I know I put Newhart as number 1, but it always changes in 1 to 2. I don't know. But easily one of my favorite finales. And parts 1 and part 2 is just when you watch it, it's usually just like they put it in 1 episode. So I just put parts 1 and part 2 in 1 episode. Of course, Dan dies. It's just you gotta put something in there to make it work. And Brad, I don't agree with Brad. I just don't. And of course, I agree. I love the St. Elsewhere finale. I'll probably talk about that one of these days. I love Newhart. Of course, I put it up there. The Perfect Strangers finale, a lot of people don't talk about and don't mention. I think it's hilarious and it's one of the best. If we're going technical, like 6 Feet Under is a perfect example. I hate the last episode of Smallville. Most people love them, so it's all opinion, All in the Family was a perfect ending in my opinion, and of course it is a spinoff. But you know what I'm getting here, and I kind of love it. I kind of like that it was all a book. What I don't like is you put another season, which Roseanne actually did not want. Then you do a show, you kill off that character the best part of the fucking show, and you're having Dan dating Katie Sagal. Nothing with Katie Sagal, but like, really? And now Katie Sagal was always jealous, and now I just don't get it. I don't like it. It just should have ended where Dan's dead. The whole Darlene with Mark and Becky with David, that's cool. I didn't care. The whole thing with Bev and Jackie was the complete flip-flop. That's fine with me. Series finales has to end on a perfect note, and to me, it always has to be something. It's got to be something, So there.